My ex-girlfriend is threatening to out me as gay if I don't marry her. So I come from a very religious family. For context on how religious, when I was 14, they caught me kissing my best friend and sent me to a camp that summer to make me straight. It didn't work to make me straight, but it did work to make me repress myself and develop a serious depression/self-hate. Around 6 months ago, I started seeing an actual therapist, not a religious figure, at my girlfriend's behest. It ended up being a good thing. It helped me start to undo all the damage done and come to terms with the fact that I am gay. I am nowhere near ready to be out or tell anyone, but I realized I owed it to my girlfriend so she could move on and not waste any more of her time. I sat down and told her she seemed understanding and supportive until the next day. She came over and told me how she had been thinking and realized the best course of action would be to get married. I told her no, and was shocked that she'd even suggest that given we broke up yesterday. She told me we didn't break up, and that if we did and weren't getting married, she would have to tell everyone why. She actually pulled out her phone and threatened to text my parents. I begged her not to, and she left with, "I'll give you a couple of days to think about it." I've got an emergency session booked with my therapist, but she can't see me till tomorrow. I'm scared and spinning here with no one to turn to and no idea what to do. Please help me. FML. She sent me food for thought, which was an audio clip of me begging her not to tell them I'm gay. And now in the comments, I would preempt the outing with a lie. Normally wouldn't recommend it, but this is about your safety. Ring your parents and say you're so upset because you confided in her about camp, and then she started trying to make you do all sorts under the threat of outing you. She'll react enough for it to be plausible. Make a plan and act before she does. If she's going to play dirty, then the only way to save yourself is to do the same, I'm afraid. Sit down your parents before she talks to them, explain other relationship issues that you've had with her, and that you broke up with her. Tell them ahead of time that she's going to lie about you being gay. Then I'd recommend bringing a female friend along and say that she's your girlfriend. Say that you and your ex had been broken up for a bit now because you had caught feelings for someone else and because your ex was controlling. Explain that she's in denial that your relationship has already ended a while ago and that she's doing this out of jealousy. If you have documentation of her asking to marry you, show that as proof that she's gone off the rocker. Explain that she's doing this all as a last-ditch attempt to keep you. Stay calm, and whatever you do, don't marry her. You were both in your early 20s. Marriage is a serious thing. She's blackmailing you. How could you ever marry and love someone who is so cruel? This isn't you. You are not the problem here. I'm not gay, but I have many friends who are, and have seen them come out and supported them. And now onto the update. So it's been a hell of a couple days since my post. Later that day, my older brother came over, which was really good, because I was thinking about doing something very stupid. He ended up paving the way for me to tell him the truth about everything, and his response was support. He shared things I didn't know, including that one of his closest friends is gay, and introduced him to his wife because he was dating her brother. He credits knowing them for what opened his mind up, and shared he started going to an open affirming church a couple years ago. We talked, and once everything was on the table, he told me to pack some stuff to come and stay with him. He didn't want to leave me alone given everything I shared, and I didn't want to be alone either. Plus, he agreed that if things went south, that it would be unlikely our parents would allow me to live there, and getting evicted wouldn't look good. He rounds up a couple friends the next day to go with us and get my stuff. When we got there, we found our parents, other siblings, my ex, and my best friend waiting with a holy intervention. It felt like it lasted forever. The arguing, the judgment, just all of it. I almost didn't get my stuff and honestly, briefly thought that I'd get hit. But thanks to my brother and his friends, I got my stuff without it getting physical. This is speculation on my part, but based on things said, I think my ex, from the day my parents introduced us, was working with them. We left, both disowned by our family, and I lost all but one of my friends. They haven't all cut me off, but one of them has been pushing me to get help to fix my problem. My brother thinks I should block them, and I probably should. I don't know. Sorry I don't have a cheery update. I'm lucky I still have my brother and sister-in-law, but it hurts losing everyone else. TLDR, got disowned and lost everything except one friend and my brother/his wife. So yep, my life is destroyed. And now in the comments, your life isn't destroyed because you are still here. And I know that might not seem like much, but OP, it is everything. Because the rest, you can rebuild. Block the unsupportive people. You have your brother and sister-in-law, you have your life. There is plenty of people in this world that will love you as you are. Take the time to find those people, focus on yourself, and if possible, please start therapy. And OP responds, thanks, and I am in therapy. If it weren't for that, I'd never have been able to admit that I'm gay. I'm glad. Trust me, I've seen people create the greatest found families that I've been lucky to be a part of. And we aren't related, but that are part of my family. As you grow, the need for biologically related people is not as high. You'll realize that the right people will stick around. The best revenge is living well. It doesn't seem like it now, but every day you wake up and try again is a big F you to those so-called Christians. Block and disregard anyone that doesn't support you. Do not endanger your own mental health to assuage any misplaced guilt that you may feel. You owe those who now see you as someone who must change from their true self precisely nothing. That is what they deserve from you, and the only thing you should give them. Nothing. It breaks my heart to know that you are dealing with this. I feel like as a good parent, I will accept my children for who they are. If I could adopt all of the children that were disowned for stupid things like this, I would. I wish that people would understand that being gay is not a choice, but it's being true to who you are. Please consider yourself hugged, virtually. Situations like this are one of the reasons that I haven't been a Christian for many years now. Poor OP. To get hurt by his parents and the girl he was dating taking joy in tormenting him. Losing friends hurts, but at the same time, he won't have to deal with them later. Yeah, I legit read it as a positive update. Growing up in a very culty, anti-LGBTQ religion, I've seen crap like this hundreds of times. He is now out to someone he trusts, he has a support group, and the toxic people in his life took themselves out. He has a solid foundation on which to regrow who he is and find love and real friends and chosen family. I think and hope he will be okay. Also, what the fuck was her plan? Marry a gay man and never be happy again and make someone else miserable? Another commenter speculates that the ex-girlfriend and OP's parents were in cahoots the whole time, trying to help OP straighten out. She could also be a repressed lesbian, so a loveless and sexless marriage sounds like a good deal. Or maybe OP's family is well off and she's just a garden variety gold digger or other domestic abuser. Me and my wife's marriage has been horrible for the past year. My wife's sister recently moved in, and we have a lot of fun together. Made me realize how unhappy I am in my marriage, and I want to divorce. My wife and I have been married for 3 years. Our marriage has been horrible for me in the last year. My wife is always angry, negative, lazy, and blames everything that goes slightly wrong in her life on somebody else except herself. I'm a very outgoing and motivated person, and I like to go out a lot. My wife is less outgoing, but used to always try to make an effort to go out together and have fun. For the past year, she hasn't done anything in our marriage. She's addicted to her phone and TikTok and barely pays attention when I'm talking or we are doing something. We barely go out anymore, and if we do, she always finds something to get angry at, like a waiter taking a little too long. When we are out eating, she is on her phone watching TikToks and barely communicating with me. She always wakes up moody and angry and destroys the whole vibe. She curses in every other sentence she says, and huffs and puffs if she has to do something that normal grown adults have to. We have also not been intimate for the past 6 months, and it doesn't look like something is going to change. I always tell her how much I appreciate her, and that I love her, and always try to do things together. But she always shuts me down when I suggest doing something because she's tired, but then proceeds to watch Netflix until 2 AM. She never shows any affection or appreciation towards me. For the past year, I have tried to communicate to her that something needs to change in our marriage, but she just gets angry and avoids the conversation instead of talking. It has gotten to the point that I have stopped caring about our marriage and have just been going along and focusing on my personal life and goals. My wife's sister, Elle, has recently gotten out of a long-term relationship and has moved in with us temporarily. Elle is the complete opposite of my wife. She is happy, vibrant, talks, and is just fun to be around. Ever since she moved in, we've been spending a lot of time together because my wife doesn't do anything else other than watch Netflix and talking to her friends on FaceTime when she's home. On the rare occasion she is not doing one of these things, she is out with her friends. Elle is a very active person, so we do a lot of activities together. She joins me when I go to the park to get some fresh air, she helps me cook when I'm preparing dinner, and even works out with me in my home gym. I always try to get my wife to tag along with us, but she never does. Spending all this time with Elle has totally changed my mood. Being around a person that is positive and doesn't complain about every single thing in their life is so refreshing and fun. But don't get the wrong idea. We have never done anything inappropriate, we have just become really good friends that lift each other up. The past couple of months since Elle have moved in have made me realize how unhappy I am in my marriage. Having someone around you that is constantly complaining, cursing, and angry drains every bit of energy that you have. It's depressing, and that's not how I want my life to be. I want to be with someone positive, who shows that they care about me and wants to have new experiences together with me. I have tried so hard for the past year to make my marriage work with my wife, but I just get shut down. I don't feel loved anymore and appreciated, and I don't want to be in this position anymore. I want to divorce so I can move on with my life and find someone who actually loves and cares for me. I've officially checked out of my marriage and I don't want to turn back anymore. I'm just not completely sure how I should go about the situation now. I know for a fact that I'm going to get trashed by friends and her family for leaving my wife, and that I'm somehow going to come out as the bad guy. I want this process to be as clean as possible, but I'm not sure how. And now in the comments, other people aren't living your life. Don't concern yourself with what they think or do. And accept it. It will probably get messy. Life does. You won't just shake hands and part ways. There will be tears and heartache. Don't pursue her sister even after your divorce, just move on. And OP replies, I guess I'm going to have to prepare myself for a rough time and be prepared to lose some friends. And don't forget the advice about not pursuing the sister. Never, ever, ever. Oh, he's going to. But he said in another comment he won't. Right. Get divorced, but don't pursue the sister. That's a disaster waiting to happen. OP says, I don't want to pursue the sister, I just want to get out of my marriage as clean as possible. Contact a divorce lawyer. Don't make any promises or move out or anything before you talk to someone. There is never a clean way to divorce someone who is already angry and bitter. The best you can do is to make sure that you're protecting yourself legally and try to remain calm if and when she freaks out. Trust me, divorce is never clean. However, since you don't have children, it can be on the lesser side of horrible. The first thing you need to do is stop being concerned about what others may or may not say or do. This isn't about them, and you need to be prepared to tell them that this is between you and your wife, and you would appreciate it if they stayed out of it. Then, just keep your mouth shut. Next is really the most important thing. Get a very, very good divorce lawyer and do exactly what they tell you to do. It's their job to advise you according to your particular circumstance and the laws where you reside. Although you are unhappy and want to divorce, you do not seem to be vengeful. So the best thing to do is to be as fair as possible and not talk trash about your soon-to-be ex. I divorced my first husband, and I found it to be much easier for me because I wanted out than for him because he didn't. Just keep calm and be polite. It will serve you very well. And good luck on your divorce and best wishes for your new life. Divorce can really set you free to live the life you want. The way she's behaving may be indications of her resorting to escapism due to diminishing mental well-being. Perhaps you and her sister can compose an action plan to approach her gently so she can seek professional help. And remember, your feelings are completely valid. When someone you love experiences mental health issues, it usually drags you down too. So please consider taking up individual therapy too, and perhaps couples therapy sometime. She sounds totally depressed. All of those aversion behaviors point to something internal that is making her not allow herself to feel joy. Seriously sounds like she has some major self-worth issues and is trying to escape her reality for some reason. Get her to counseling. Tell her how you feel. Tell her that you want her to feel loved and that she has a part to play with that. If she flat out refuses any of that, then your choice becomes if you want to live a life that makes you happy or endure one that is what you know. Sorry you're going through this. Keep in mind people bury traumas deep, and she may be reliving some trauma that made her shut down. It is the only thing that makes sense, unless she is just a miserable person for chemical imbalance reasons. Good luck, dude. Don't bail on the marriage just yet, but start making a plan to have your finances in order if you do need to leave. And OP replies, quote, if she flat out refuses any of that. That's what she has been doing for the past year. And now on to the update. So my first post got a lot of traction. I appreciate all the supportive messages I've gotten, and especially all the people sharing their own experience. You definitely helped me to get some perspective in the matter. The past couple of days, I've been able to clear my head about my marriage. I realized that this is not how I want to spend the rest of my life. I want to be with someone who cares about me and loves me. She clearly doesn't. I want to be with someone who respects me enough to put her phone down when we're having dinner and I'm trying to talk to her and isn't ignoring me to watch TikToks. I am done trying and getting nothing in return. I am done giving it my all and getting nothing back. I have been trying to communicate and make things better for a whole year and have been completely neglected. I still have love for my wife, but I am not in love with her anymore. I want to move on with my life and find the right one for me and lead a happy life. I have also been in contact with my divorce attorney and am getting the process started. I turned 32 2 days ago and my wife didn't even acknowledge my existence. Instead, she went out with her friends that night. Even her sister remembered my birthday and got me a present. She was even shocked that my wife ignored my birthday like this. We ended up having dinner together at a restaurant, and she even paid for the both of us. I didn't even feel the need to mention my birthday to my wife because I knew that at this point, she didn't really care. This really made me lock my decision. I don't care if she's depressed or not. If she doesn't even care enough about me to remember and acknowledge my birthday, and rather goes out with her friends, I don't want to be with her. People keep saying that we should go to counseling and therapy to patch things out, but for the past year, I have been trying to get my wife to go to couples therapy with me, but she just refuses and gets angry with me as always. I have tried everything I could have thought of to make my marriage work, but she pretty much just shuts everything down that I try. I have tried so hard to make my marriage work and put in so much effort, but now I have had enough of it. A lot of people tried to diagnose my wife with depression in my previous post, but I'm not a medical professional, so I can only talk from my perspective. To me, it seemed like she was living her own life without me, and that she would get frustrated with everything that I got involved in. I'm not going to say if she has or doesn't have depression, that's not for me to determine. Whether she has it or not, I don't find that a valid excuse to treat me that way that she has for the past year. She didn't even have the respect to communicate and talk to me like a decent human being, instead of being on her phone and ignoring me. If she has depression, she'll figure that out on her own without me. A lot of people were also suggesting that I just want a divorce to get with her sister. That's not true. I want a divorce so I can get myself out of this miserable marriage and so I can move on with my life. I have no plan on pursuing her sister. I'm getting this divorce for my own well-being. Elle said that she finds the divorce unfortunate, but that she supports my decision. She even suggested that we stay friends after because we get along great. When I told her that I was divorcing her, some little bit in me hoped that she would realize what has been happening in the past year and try to apologize and make things good again or something. Instead, she started getting angry with me and started yelling at me. As always, instead of taking responsibility, she started blaming me. At this point, I stopped caring and I didn't respond to all her yelling. I told her that my decision was final. I also suggested her to see a medical professional to figure out her possible depression, but what she does with that advice is really none of my concern. Elle knew something was up and tried to talk with my wife about what was going on, but pretty much got dismissed and yelled at for getting her nose in our business. For now, I'll be sleeping on the couch and living my own life. Elle informed me that she is moving out and was able to find a place, so I'll be taking the guest bedroom when she gets out. I'm in the middle of trying to figure things out with my lawyer, and hopefully we will be able to move fast in this divorce. But probably not. I'm mentally preparing myself for everything that will happen to me socially, and I accept that. I just want this to be over so I can move on with my life. And now in the comments, it takes two to tango. Be at peace knowing you did everything you could. You'll find someone better someday. And OP says, thanks. In fact, you've already found someone better. Yourself. You've got your own back, which is a massive thing and more than many people achieve. Be proud of that. Good for you. Your wife sounds absolutely horrible. Who forgets their spouse's birthday after only a few years of marriage? That's awful. So sorry you're dealing with this, but you are still relatively young and will find someone who makes you happy and who fully appreciates you. Not some negative person who wears you down and hates the world. You will find an empowered woman who sees you and values your worth and build a strong bond that will last a lifetime. Good luck and take care of you now. Do not worry about her. This is your time, buddy. And OP says, thanks for the support. Yeah, it sucks for now, but it will get better, although it may get worse before it gets better. Be with somebody who actually wants to be with you. That was basically the reason I called it quits on my ex. She wanted to take a break after 15 years of marriage so she could feel out some new relationship with some new guy, and wanted to keep me on standby. No? You either choose to be with me or walk away. Since she couldn't decide, I walked away. Best decision of my life. The main difference is, I thought we were okay, but she never thought so. She never said anything. She basically faked being happy for our whole marriage. So to her surprise, yes, she was actually surprised, I asked for the divorce. I also realized I pretty much spent the whole relationship trying to be a good hubby in order to earn some love from her, but it was always just an arm reach away. Any day now. Yeah, that day never came. So after I moved on, I started dating someone who really showed me she cared for me and loved me. It's been 7 years and it's been great. It's exactly what has been missing in my previous marriage. And OP says, thanks for sharing your story, and it's great that you have found someone who really cares about you. OP, do not be surprised at all when your wife suddenly announces that she has a new boyfriend. All of her actions towards you points to her having found someone else. The way she treats you, the way she apportions blame, the dead bedroom, and the lack of respect towards you. All of it are indicators of an affair. Good luck with the divorce, and I hope you can just amicably walk away into a better life. And OP says, at this point, I don't care what she might be doing behind my back. I just want to get this over with as quick and as clean as possible. I didn't think you would, but if it was happening, it may make things progress very quickly. And also, there are many posters on this sub who will do their utmost to find fault with you and excuse your wife's actions. Don't listen to them. What it comes down to is that a relationship requires both parties to put in effort. One side cannot do all the work. It doesn't matter if your wife has depression or any other mental illness, she is an adult that has responsibilities to you, your relationship, and herself. And it's on her to get the help that she needs. For your upcoming divorce, I would expect it to get extremely nasty. The easiest, least effort option is for your wife to put all the blame on you, as, you know, introspection and self-evaluation take effort after all. Make sure to protect your assets and vital documents, change passwords, and take all advice given by your lawyer to heart. And OP replies, thanks for your support. I'm closely working with my attorney to make sure that I get out of this marriage as cleanly as possible. Contrast is sometimes the best way to realize what's going on in your own situation. So glad OP realized something is wrong and then took multiple actions to change it. That's hard to do. It can be so hard to leave those situations too, because even though you feel something is deeply wrong, you also feel that logically, you can't expect them to meet a need that you can't communicate to them. For example, you know it annoys you that they're always on their phone, but them putting their phone down doesn't fix the problem, because the problem is actually that they completely ignore everything you say, talk over you, and talk down to you. So the empathetic side of you feels guilty and feels like leaving would be unfair. I've been in that situation twice before, and both times I distinctly remember when I finally realized what the problem was. I remember feeling such a huge sense of relief because I finally understood that I wasn't being unreasonable by expecting or non-communicated needs to be met. I was just expecting them to treat me like an equal, and like spending time with me wasn't a chore that they were forced to do. I'm so glad OP realized what the problem is and got out before they brought kids into that mess. Well done to him for not transferring his emotional needs onto the sister and actually respecting her as a friend.